the same. Do 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 do. Anyway, how is everybody? How's everybody feeling? Let's get some music on there so that we can actually. It doesn't feel completely like nothing's happening. Let's put myself on streamer mode as well so that I don't dox my friends. Yeah. Boop. How's everybody? How's everybody feeling? I'm feeling pretty okay. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling kind of relaxed. You know, it's sort of like that post-Christmas sort of blues kind of thing. Where you're just sort of like, okay, well, I mean, we still got a bit... Like, we're still off. We still got some time off. But Christmas is over. The big one's over. And so you're sort of just relaxing. You know, just having a nice time. So my plan for today is I have a paint, I have paint up. And paint's going to be here just for me to write down anything that's really notable. And we're just sort of going to talk through what we've done this year. Talk through what we're planning for next year. Talk through maybe New Year's resolutions, that kind of stuff. Talk about maybe what we thought went well, what didn't go well, what we wish we had done differently, you know, that kind of stuff. So in the background, I've got my my YouTube channel up, which has all of my streams. And I'm just gonna talk through it. I'm gonna go over what I liked about it, go over what I didn't like about it, you know, that kind of stuff. And then if we're sort of done, if we run out of stuff, we may play something, probably Disfigure. I've been playing a bit of Disfigure and I really like it. I think the newest weapon is like so good that maybe it allowed me to get my first like win on hard, which I thought was insane. On the first map. But still. So yeah, that's effectively the plan. I'm just, you know, sort of rambling until we hit the 130 mark, but yeah, I think the plan is just to talk about what we did. And I do have a lot of things that I wish I had done differently, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, there's lots of things I wish I'd done differently, even of like streams I've done, you know, the yesterday kind of thing. But you know, it's all about just improving yourself, improving everything. I think the biggest improvement, if we want to talk about like things I believe we've improved over time, is I think we've properly you know, this is probably better. Do I care if you guys know what I'm subscribed to? No, I don't think I care. Okay, so we got this. So first stream that technically we did that doesn't say the word year on it is this one. The blimmin' EDF game. Now I distinctly remember that, even though it's been like 11 months since I did it, because it was a train wreck of a stream, but not because of anybody in it, but because of the technology we were trying to use that we hadn't tested before, and the game itself that was just not having a good day with us playing multiplayer. It's a relatively old game, and I don't think it's been getting any updates anytime soon, and I think it showed. Interesting the way that this has gone. I don't know why 3B came out so much earlier. I think that must have been a mistake. But anyway. Then we started the Rogue Trader thing, which I think is insane, because I thought we started that last year. I honestly thought it was that long ago in my head that I thought Rogue Trader was a last year thing. But apparently not. It's insane for me to think that all of, like, not this year's, but the year before it's streaming, was me just doing these reviews. Just rambling about each of the different subclasses of D&D. Like, all of this stuff. It's insane to me. Because that feels like so long ago. But then we started the Rogue Trader thing, and I was honestly a bit apprehensive when it came to Rogue Trader. There was definitely things I wish I could have done differently. There was a couple of times in Rogue Trader as a whole that I felt like I should have just gone, hey, stop looking around and like a headless chicken, and instead just look it up. Sorry about that. Because I felt like it just wasn't fun to watch when I'm just sitting there going, where do I go? Where do I go? For like upwards of maybe an hour and a half, you know? Those kinds of things are just not fun or interesting to watch in any capacity. And so I definitely think that there was times where I should take the executive decision of, hey, you don't have the people in the chat that can go, it's this way, so just use Google, you know, just Google it. But no, I think I had it became one of my favorite streams to do. By like a long shot. I loved it. For better or for worse, I think it was... And I say for better or for worse, I think the only time where I didn't like it was when I was in Comora and I was dealing with... I just didn't know where to go. And I think that was just a me thing. That goes back to what I was saying before, right? It goes back to the whole thing of like, well, you should have just looked it up. It was stupid to go through that whole thing of not just look it up. But yeah, it goes on to be one of my favorite CRPGs I've ever played. It might be one of my favorite RPGs I've ever played. It's definitely up there. At the time when I finished it, I thought it was my favorite RPG I've ever played ever. Like, it was incredible. I was like, I had so much fun. It's like heaven and earth between Rogue Trader and the Pathfinder games. Because I've been going on, I did a bit of a rant on X, but I've been ranting about this to my friends, but I just don't find... Both of the Pathfinder games have severe problems in my opinion, and there's several severe problems. I think when it comes to Kingmaker, there's several quality of life things that they needed to do. The biggest problem was that this constant feeling of like, you gotta do this quickly, you gotta do this quickly, you only have X amount of time, you only got X amount of time. And that to me immediately put me off a game I would absolutely adore, because of the fact that you constantly had this um pressure to it that's just like, you got to keep doing this, you got to keep doing this, if you don't do this you'll lose, kind of thing. And then Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, its biggest problem is not, weirdly, what I think, in my opinion, its biggest problem is not what I think people say is its biggest problem, because people say that the biggest problem is it's really the crusade mechanic, but I never find the crusade mechanic problematic. And if it's that much of a big deal for people, you can go into the settings and you can just make it so that you get like 3 times as many stuff. You know, you change the difficulty to cozy, you get 3 times as many troops, and you can just send them to their death, and you're not gonna have a problem, right? So honestly, I don't understand that that sort of criticism. My criticism is entirely revolved around one. Is entirely revolved around one thing and one thing only, and that thing is the blimmin' demon map, the blimmin' demon area, the demon city. Because spoilers, there's a demon city. That's all I'll go into about the actual like lore stuff with it, in case you get into it, because it's a bloody lovely game. Which has great story, great premise, great ideas with the mythic paths, which make you really interesting and unique and give you this like sort of side quest thing. There's not the story quest, but still that important. That's really cool. Like, I've played the Angel one, I've played the Exit or As It one, and they're completely different and interesting. But yeah, I just, it's that blimmin' demon city. I'll go into detail, because I can go into detail without breaking, like, spoiling lore stuff about all the different reasons why the demon city is just bad. Number one, has this very weird mechanic where you have to turn your camera, and when you turn your camera, the city moves, and so you have it where like there'll be like a whole part of the map over here that you have to turn your camera, and then it goes and moves right here, and then you can get on it. Sounds like a cool thing in concept, right? But the problem with it is you just miss stuff. You're just sitting there missing stuff, because you're just like, you say you're here, right? And you're walking along, and you're like, okay, well, I want to get to B. I'm at A. And you're like, okay, well, I'll just do the straightforward thing here, right? But the problem is, you can't go like this, because actuality, what you've got to do is you've got to go here, then angle your camera this way, so that then this huge area moves to within the way. Then you move in. That's just annoying. That's just annoying. Then you add on to that maybe to get to B, you don't need all of this stuff. Don't worry. To get to B, and you still can't do this to get to B. Instead, to get to B, instead of the straightforward like boom, instead you've got to go boop. Here's a portal. It is not labeled any way, shape or form that you have to use it to get to B, but then it'll make you appear here. And then maybe after that you'll have to like climb up some ladders. I don't know what I'm... Climb up some ladders, make an athletics check to get up them, then you'll maybe get to B. But the thing is, you have no way of knowing that. And sure, people have said, oh, you get used to it, right? It's such an annoyance when you're trying to get used to it. And there's also a chance, it's not a huge chance, but there's a chance that instead what you have to do is you got to go like this, go up the ladder thing, which will take you to a new area. A new area that then you have to backtrack to get to B. And so you're constantly in the situation of it never feeling like you have to use all your brain just to figure out how to get from A to B, and it's really not fun. Second reason it's bad is this is, for some reason, no matter what difficulty I'm playing on, no matter what I'm doing, this is the hard blimmin', always seems to be this blimmin' hard wall I meet. Exactly at Demon City, where every time I'm attacking it with, like, I don't know, like a sword or something, you hit him and it goes, you got like a... Oh god. You're hitting them with it and it goes like, cool, you gotta get a 20 on a d20 and you rolled like a fucking 15 or something, right? And that's everybody. And you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I don't have my buffs on because buffs are a big thing. And then you put on all your buffs and it's like, oh, +1 to everybody. +1, +1, +1, +1. Everybody gets these +1s. Hit them again. What is it? You rolled a 14. You got to get a 20. Like, it feels very much like this is this hard cap of like, hey guys, you can sort of get through it as just a regular dude, but when you hit this point, good luck, Chucklefuck. You're gonna have to deal with that. And that really annoys me. Third reason, arguably, if you look at it, it might be the fourth reason if you count the portals and the moving of the camera as two different things. But anyway, third/fourth reason. Demons also happen to be the first point in which you start taking, like, attribute damage. I don't know how to spell attribute. Attribute damage. Now what that means is very simple. Somebody hits you. They hit you and you go, ow, that hurt. You take like 50 damage. Well, not like 50 damage, like 12 damage. And they also go, hello, Jugglebuck, here's blimmin' 2 charisma damage. And you're like, what's charisma damage? That means it lowers your charisma by that amount. And you're like, okay, well, I don't really use charisma. Well, screw you. If you hit 0 on the charisma, you're dead. You can't live with 0 charisma, you're dead. It's just another way they can insta-kill you. And the thing that gets you is you do see these kinds of damages in earlier stuff, but the biggest change is all the demons seem to, or at least a vast majority of them, have it on just their basic attack. Their absolute basic attack. That you're going to be sitting there taking because you're hitting them on a 20. You know what I mean? And even your tankiest person is eventually going to get hit because they have like 6 attacks. Now, bearing in mind, you probably also have a lot of attacks. You can get up to 6. Like one of my companions has 6 attacks if they haven't moved. But your 6 attacks are hitting on a 20. And their 6 attacks, maybe they're hitting on a 20 on your tank as well. But they get 6 attacks, then they normally get a blast attack. And that thing doesn't care about your AC. That probably cares about a reflex save. That your highly tanky people probably aren't very good at. And that hits you and it lowers your strength or something. And it's like, it can also just hit something that's important. Which means you last longer, but also means you lose what's important about the character. And you're like, okay, Jack, how do you get rid of this such a damage? Oh, you gotta rest. Oh, okay, resting doesn't seem that bad. I mean, you just... Everybody camps around the fire. Have a little rest. Regain all your hit points. That seems fine. Sure, Sure, it probably does. Problem is, good luck doing that, because there's constantly a timer. Or at least it's perceived to constantly be a timer. And throughout the whole of the other game, you have been told over and over again, there is a timer. You better do this right now or you're screwed. It's not as bad as in Kingmaker, where there's literally just something there that's like, 500 days left. But it's arguably maybe worse for some people, because it just says something vague like better do this quick. You know, it'll say something vague like that, right? So in conclusion, oh no, it's not even in conclusion. I have another reason why I don't like the Demon City. Number 4/5. There are a heck of a lot of blimming escort quests. Maybe that's not the best way to put it, because it's not really escort quests. I think the better word actually is, because no, you're not escorting somebody. That's not fair. There's a load of fetch quests. Fetch quests, where you have to get something and you move it to another place, and then you move it to another place, and you move it to another place, which seems fine, except for the fact, remember, the whole place that you're in is a freaking labyrinth. You know, where you're like, oh, okay, I've hit the right place. Oh, wait, no, that's a dead end. Okay, well, I'll go this way, and then it branches off, and you're like, okay, where do I go then? And you're like, I don't know. One of these is a dead end, one of these isn't, but I don't know that until later. It's, you know, it's an absolute, as I said, labyrinth. So in conclusion, you've got 4/5 reasons why the Demon City itself is just a horrendous, like, stopgap. Like, horrendous, like, punch in the face, in my opinion. And so, when I look at Rogue Trader, getting back more on topic, I look at it and go, okay, there is a timing restriction, but they've realized that it's too big to have that as just a big thing, and so it's just a background sort of lore thing. So they got rid of that. There's nobody. The game is too easy. Now this is an overcorrection, I feel, and I think it's true for a lot of people who've said this as well. There's a bit of an overcorrection where they've gone, okay, well everybody has considered it too hard, so we'll go really easy with it, right? That is a mistake that they've done, but it does mean that you don't have a Demon City where everything you're hitting on a 20 and you don't feel horrendously bad because of it. There's no portals that randomly take you areas. There's no map that changes depending on how you move the map, because they could have done that for Komara. It's got a similar thing to it to a Demon City, with like random floating areas that you could just have be like, oh, you psychically move your mind and it moves the things. You know, they can do something with that. Pardon me. But yeah, like, they could have done that for that one. And it's like, well, that's out of the window. What about, like, strength damage? Not a thing. They got rid of it because it was such an horrendous mechanic. Because it's like, cool, say they hit me with it, and say I'm like I don't know, like a rogue or something, and my main stat is Dex. Now, I know in Pathfinder, you do need the other stats, because it's like, one of them will be, like, you know, it's not like you focus one stat as much, right? But there's still going to be a stat you have as your focus, right? They still ask you to pick a couple of main focus, like one or two main focus attributes and then 2 secondary ones, right? That's always recommended. And so you're there as a rogue, your main stat's probably dex. And you go in and they hit you and you fail the save and you take dex damage. The problem with that is it's just a snowball effect now. Of it just, it's like, oh yeah, cool. I try and hit back, you can't hit back. Why? Because you've got a lower stat. And so you get hit, they get another chance to hit you again. You can't hit them back. Why? Because you're even lower. Then they hit you again, and then you die. You know? Simple as. It's such an annoying thing. Because it's so annoying because I love the setting. Anyway, they don't have that in Rogue Trader, because they just don't have attribute damage. And instead you've got a situation where most of them are quite easy to beat, which is arguably worse, right? No, not arguably worse for me. I think it's also a problem, but they've kept the awesome lore that they make, the awesome characters that they make, the character design, and like the characters, like, what's the word? The characters, like, backstories and stuff, I think are great. Awesome. You know, some of the best. I think arguably better than Baldur's Gate's ones. And I really like Baldur's Gate's ones. I think Baldur's Gate's ones are better presented because they had voice acting for everything. And the game, like, you know, looks and feels amazing. Which I think is also... I think my biggest complaint when I look at Rogue Trader is, one, the battles are well too easy after, like, the second, like, act. It becomes incredibly easy until the boss, and the boss then is the only hard thing. Two, is that the whole thing, if better presented, would have been such a big, like, I think would have been a huge hit instead of just being a good hit, but not a huge hit. You know what I mean? I also think that they were a bit, like, weirdly nitpicky on how you get good endings, because there was many characters that were like, the conclusion of their story is if they have the resolve to beat back a bigger threat, or if they're devoted enough to beat back a bigger threat. And I feel like, sure, I didn't pick the... I think it was one of them that I had picked the most, like, do it yourself, like, gain the will to think for yourself options, and I didn't get it. And the other one, I was like, I don't think I made her less devoted. That one I can understand a bit more. I just feel like they should have had a bit more leeway to it, or made it something you could have maybe figured out. Next was Disfigure. Love Disfigure, by the way. Disfigure, by the way, if you haven't played Disfigure, highly recommend it. Look, see, I got my first hard mode thing on it. Love Disfigure. It's a free game. You don't have to buy anything. And the game itself is just a very decent blimmin', what they called, like, bullet heaven kind of games. That just has a really cool, like, dynamic with the two cones of vision, and they have really cool upgrades, and it just gets better and better. And so I really think that if you're into, like, bullet heavens, and even if you're not, just give it a try. It's really fun. It constantly gets new updates, even though it's a free project. 100%, I would 100% recommend it. I played this a lot last year, and I'm probably going to be playing it a lot this year. Next, I played some I played some Battlegrounds. I also played some regular Hearthstone back when the Fizzbangs decks actually were like playable. I've been doing that a bit more recently actually because it's been quite fun. But yeah, Battlegrounds, such a good game for the Chill Monday streams. Because it's just one of those things that you can just sit there, not even really think about, and just sort of like have on in the background, you know? And you're just like, oh, I'm pressing these things, and then there's like a 50-second buffer of just be like sitting here going, like either talking about what we're doing, or either talking about what we're doing, or like just talking about whatever's in. Pardon me. Talking about whatever is on our mind at that moment. I think I mean I go back to this almost every time there's a new season, and even if I just don't know what to play, like it's a non-small chance that I'll play that after we've done this review. But yeah, it's one of those things that I don't think. It's one of those comfort games where it's like it's an auto battler, and it's one of the few that actually survived, because auto battlers felt like they were going to be this next big thing, and then they just sort of died. Like the only ones that survived was like Team Fight Tactics, this, and like Mechabellum's doing okay, and that's all I can think of off the top of my head. I've been playing like one that's called like Hadean Tactics, which is like a solo one that was pretty decent. But like it's not incredibly successful. Like Hearthstone Battlegrounds, Teamfight Tactics, and like to a lesser extent Mechabellum is as well. Also, it's insane because like it's a part of Hearthstone that you can play completely fine, like while being free. And that's the thing that I love, and I wish more people did. And this is saying it to obviously Blizzard as well, because this is a rarity for Blizzard. But when I play Hearthstone Battlegrounds, I can see something that would technically gives me an advantage. And I don't like that they've got something locked up behind paying that gives me an advantage. But what I will say I like about it is that level of like FOMO that's there. What I'm trying to say is this, right? I look at those 2 extra characters I could pick from every time I play Battlegrounds, and I go, it would be cool if I had that, but I'm not annoyed that I don't have it. Yeah, you know, it's like, it's cool, but I don't care enough to buy. And I feel like that's exactly the level you want your it's exactly the level that you want your FOMO to be, for it to be good for the consumer. I want it to be something where I look at it and go, if I wanted to, and if I wanted to spend the money, I could have that, and it'd be fun to have, but I don't feel like I need it, you know? And I think Battlegrounds does very well for it. I don't think it actually makes them a lot of money, though, because I don't think a lot of people actually buy it. Played some more Disfigure. We're going to get loads of repeats if we're being honest. We've got Brotato, which is the next sort of new game we played. Brotato was very fun. Another Bullet Heaven kind of game. I think the biggest problem of why I didn't play more Brotato is I actually just don't think I'm very good at it when I'm playing characters that aren't kind of cracked. It's sad to say, but I think it's true. I love the game with all my heart, but it's definitely a game that I always feel like I'm like I'm not doing 100% here. You know, I'm never feeling like I'm doing particularly good, more so than in other Bullet Heavens. Like I never expect to be getting to the higher levels, you know, like the Ascensions where they make the game even harder. But I do kind of feel like the level I'm normally at with Bullet Heavens is fairly regularly winning in the basic mode. When you get to Ascension 1 or 2, winning occasionally, and then Ascension 3 and 4 is like my limit, right? Like a once in a blue moon super build will win. But I felt like I was just stuck on Ascension 1 with this one. So yeah, like that's probably why I don't play it as much. Also, it did take a... The important thing when it comes to Monday streams, and this is technically true for other streams, but more so on the Monday streams, is I want a game where I can sort of just go, turn off brain when thinking about this, and start thinking about what I'm talking about with you guys. Like, this is just like the Subway Surfer, you know, at the bottom of the screen when you're listening to like a Am I the Arsehole thing on like a YouTube short, or like a Facebook short or whatever, or like Instagram or so. I don't know Instagram. I don't use Instagram much. So yeah, like I think this one was a bit too... I had to think too much for it, and so I think I stopped playing that one quite early. Helldivers was really fun. You know what's weird is there's been a load of updates to Helldivers since I last played, and there's just this part of me that for some reason is just like, I don't particularly want to play it. I'm not like, there's this cool like new faction, and realistically that should bring me back, but I just don't have the enthusiasm for it. I don't think I like the gameplay loop. Maybe I got myself burnt out too much on the robots, because the robots definitely feel like a step up in difficulty, no matter what like difficulty you're actually playing. Or maybe it's one of those things happens where like you realize quickly that your friends are outstripping you, but that normally doesn't affect me because I'm playing with friends. But I never found myself wanting to go back for that one, really. It's weird that there's some, like, I guess it's maybe because I put the big update in the name, but it's weird how there's like some that just do like 9 views, and it's in the middle, it's episode 11. And then the next one only has 3 views, and you're like, what the heck's happening there? You're never gonna know. It might be something that's been put in the blimmin' in the captions, because this one's doing okay as well. Now this is technically, if we're going through all of these, let's start with this one first. This was a series me and Baron Zarkobel did. I absolutely love the Dawn of War games. They absolutely love the Dawn of War games. I'm 100... Like, I loved doing this whole series. It was such a fun thing, because one of the first games me and them played, back when we were starting to like become friends for the first time, was the Dawn of War series, and I have fond memories of the first time we played through it, and so to play through it again was just really, really fun. I think there was a lot of fun things that happened with that. A combination of just me, kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen like Adeptus Ridiculous, or like really any 2-person podcast. There's normally always one person that's the sort of the more ignorant guy, who is the one that asks the questions for the audience, and then there's another person that just answers them. And it felt very much like we got into that sort of routine, with me taking obviously the more ignorant one, because although I do like Warhammer in general, I don't go into the nitty-gritties as much as he like has, and his knowledge is a lot more broader because he's been a fan for much longer. He brought me into it But I love this series, and I love the Dawn of War series. It's a shame they never made a third game. Because I think it would have done really, really well. I'm more of a fan of the second game, but the first game also has a decent part of my heart. I'm always a big RTS guy. Even if, especially in this situation, I'm not very good at RTSs. I've always been a huge RTS guy, though. Now, this is not technically the start of the series. This was just me chilling in Final Fantasy XIV. I think I was doing a lot of, like, the Golden Saucer things. But I will say this. This was sort of like the dipping my toe into it. That I won't talk about much because it was just me chilling Golden Saucer. I'll wait until we get to the actual series start. But I did have a lot of fun doing the stream, just playing the random games, because it's a part of it that I just never really like got into, but is really cool. Oh no, I watched this one. I wonder why I did that. Again, a lot of repeats. I like to play the games I like to play. This one was insane because I was playing some Diablo. I tweeted out, hey, I'm going to be going in as my character and chilling and playing some Diablo. And then blimmin' Diablo themselves, like the Twitter account, went, hey, we'll see you in there, like, the monsters already. And I was like, what the heck? Like, it was one of those things that, it's definitely up there as, like, being the most insane reply I've gotten, just in general. It's, like, one of the few replies I've gotten anyway. But yeah, I was just like, wow, this is insane. I didn't play more of it but on stream because it felt very much like one of those ones where I had to concentrate so much, like I said before in the other ones. I had to concentrate so much on dodging and doing attacks and everything that I actually just felt like I was losing out on a lot of actual talking, and it didn't fit for the chill aesthetic. I could see it coming back as like as replacing maybe like maybe one of the Baldur's Gate, or maybe Final Fantasy, but it's not an MMO, so it wouldn't fit there. I will put that on the list now that I've thought about it. Of like, that would be kind of cool to put it on stream so I actually can finish it. I think that'd be fun. The more I say that, the more I think that's a really good idea, and actually, that's probably going on. It's definitely on the maybes. Fizzbang. Now this is where the new and improved Fizzbang came, and so this is when it was at its most powerful because the decks were using the same cards as the. Well, then they were using the newest cards, right? And they didn't get updated. I really, really liked just playing with the Fizzbang deck. Because obviously your decks aren't going to be as optimized as the higher up players, and you're probably going to lose that. But it was just fun to be able to use the new cards without having to spend the money to get the cards, if you know what I mean. I wish they did keep it updated, but they have no incentive to do that. But what can you do? I love doing this, and I still do it occasionally now, and it doesn't do horrendously. Because I'm a lower rank. Then this is the first foray into Magic the Gathering. Just me playing Cheapskate. I think I maybe did a draft with the money that I had slowly saved up. I'm getting into the drafting format. Obviously, I can't do it a load because I have to save all the money. I have to get all the money for free. But I did find it. I did find it quite fun, you know. I think I need to work on my ability for it because it feels like every draft deck I win with is a draft deck in which I just repeatedly punch them in the face with big creatures instead of like learning a strategy, using control, like, you know, those kinds of things. Whenever there's an overarching thing that isn't big punch guy good, I fail. It feels. Then there was Total War Warhammer. I love this game. I play loads of it offline. The problem is I play it in a way that I don't think is very entertaining for chat. In the sense of I play it very rarely actually getting into the big fights because I don't think I'm that good at the big fights. And so I auto-resolve almost everything. Except for, like, obviously quest battles, but I go into those completely over-leveled, right? I just play it as a fun kingdom / army builder. And I have a lot of fun doing that, honestly. But this was really fun. Gelt's incredibly powerful. So this was just sort of like me washing through everything, you know? It's just like, oh, you're here? Cool. I just gain a load of money, and then with my incredible army, destroy you, you know? By the way, it's insane how long this went. This was like my first foray into long series, like properly long series. I mean these ones, this one lasted like, there was like 6 or 7 of them. But it wasn't to the level of like, this is number 24. This is number 25. Like it goes insane. I absolutely adored that. Sorry, I every time I look at it, I'm just like, I love that game. I still haven't tried the DLC. I think I want to wait for all the DLCs to come out and then maybe actually do like a round 2. But it'd be a bit iffy because I'm really not good at. I don't want to pick a different decision, but I do want to see what the different decisions do. But I don't like being a dick. This was my first try into Neverwinter. I would say Neverwinter was a hard pill to swallow because I love D&D, and I think this is a decent MMO for like 15 years ago. I just think there's so many things of it that just show signs of like they are just trying to get money out of this, but they don't want to add anything actually good into it or like actually do quality of life stuff. They're not trying to get new people into it. They're just trying to get the people that are already there and squeeze as much as they could out of them. Right? So for example, there is a leveling system, but the leveling system doesn't actually exist anymore because it's all like you get it whenever you complete quests. But there's still XP boosts back from when XP was a thing. You know, it's things like that where you're like, oh, you've just not gotten around to do this. And the thing is, it hasn't been a thing for a while, but you just haven't gotten around to actually, you know, actually having a look at this and you're actually having a look at this and doing something with it. And so that plus the there's a point in it where you can't really get through the story anymore without grinding, and it's at that point I was just like, I clocked out. This one was quite interesting. The special face reveal stream. Not that big of a deal, right? I effectively, and this is my logic. My logic was this. I think that I need all the help I can get when it comes to getting people to watch me. And getting rid of the fact that you can't see my facial expressions feels like it would be just getting rid of another tool. Like, seeing me look shocked, seeing me look like contemplating things and stuff, that was something I felt like it was an extra edge I could add. And generally, I didn't think I had the technical aptitude to have a VTuber, and I didn't think I had. Just like I never will commit to having a I will never commit to having a tattoo, because I don't think there's anything I would be able to confidently commit to my body forever. I don't think I'd be able to confidently spend the money I'd have to spend to get a VTuber and know exactly what I wanted to be, because I would always just flip-flop. There were technical difficulties with this that I'm not so happy with, but what can you do, right? What can you do? I mean, there's always technical difficulties with me. Look at this. Final boss. I know there's RoboQuest there, and I will talk about RoboQuest, but look at this. Final boss. It took like blimmin' 26 episodes, but we actually did it. 28 episodes. Now, it was a good ending as well. I liked the ending. 29! There's one right there I didn't even see. But yeah. I love that. Now, RoboQuest. RoboQuest is a great game. RoboQuest is just it's quite chaotic when you're actually playing it. It's an absolutely great game. I love every second of it. Just sort of moving around at high speeds, shooting them with all different variety of guns that you've gotten. My quest to beat this game was insane, and some of my favorite clips of this year, and there's not a lot of clips because at some point I got to a point where I was like, I don't even actually think that there's many things here that are incredibly clippable. And that's just me getting down myself. I'm sure there were good points, but still. The clip of me killing the first stage of the boss, not realizing it's a first stage, going through this incredible oh, we did it, yes, and then it starts again, and then I eventually die, is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I look back at that one occasionally. This was actually my first draft. So obviously I was just playing using the free decks before, but yeah, this was actually my first draft. I remember it going horribly because I had no one there, and that's why it says then some sworn, because I lost within an hour and a half. But notably, this is also the start of Baldur's Gate. This journey that I'm on right now is one of the funnest things I've done in a while, if I'm being honest. I love Baldur's Gate. I absolutely adore it. There's some times where I'm I wonder if I'm picking the right decisions, and I'm sure, especially in the area we're in now, there's gonna be some consequences to actions I make, but goddamn, am I having a lot of fun with it. Deep Rock Galactic, this is such a chill game to play with friends. I loved playing this. I even got to a point, and this is very rare for these kinds of games, because I put this in the same sort of camp as Space Marine 2 Darktide, Helldivers, in the sense of it's like you have a hub, you go on short missions, that's the repeating of it, and they're all quite samey. And very rarely do I play those games on my own. But with this one I did. This one I actually played I played a decent amount on my own as well. So fun. Love that game. Wish the unlocking was a bit better. Because with the unlocking in this, it's like you pick what you want to unlock, and then you've got to do a load of select missions, right? But if I switch out that to something else, I lose all my progress. Which is just so annoying, because it's like, if I'm playing with a friend, I want to be put on the same... I want to do this... I want to be unlocking the same thing, so that we have to do the same quest, so that we can get through it together. But if I'm already started something, then I can't... If I switch over, I lose all my progress, which feels bad. But I still loved that game. Absolutely adored it. We're going through the Elemental Evil at the moment. I quite liked the Elemental Evil campaign, even if it was very generic. I think that's another thing as well. The Neverwinter stories, they had no flavour to them. Absolutely no flavour. They got better, but they didn't ever hit even like the worst of like some other RPGs that I've played. Trying out Bloomburrow. I loved Bloomburrow for in MTG. I love that expansion. That sort of expansion where it was just like cute little animals, and there's some bits to it, but like that weren't cute. But generally, it was just these cute little animals. Loved it. Absolutely adored it. I hope they go back there. Legend of Keeper. Another one of those games where I'm like, I worry I wouldn't be making a lot of progress if I played it often. This one I can talk and play, because it was very much a turn-based thing, so you could just stop and like talk through your thought while you waited. But generally I was just like, I didn't think that how do I word this? I didn't think that watching me play this repeatedly and making no progress would be good, like a good viewing experience, if I'm being completely honest. This was what's it called? Hold on a second. I know, because I have the 4th and the 3rd game, but I forget what it's called. Age of Wonders 4. Age of Wonders 4 was, and still is, a game that I will always go back to I'd say every half a year, and just play like one faction, play the game as one of the factions. Like, and by one of the factions, I mean like fully materialist, fully demon, fully this, fully that, you know, like, I will always go back and do that, because it's always so fun to just go fully into those, and they all have cool different play styles. It's just not a game I play like much. Like, I'll play it for a bit every like half a year, and then I'll just be like, I'm done, and I'll go off and play something else. Speaking of going off and playing something else, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, very similar boat. Initially I started playing it and I was like, this is great. This is great evolution of the bullet heaven genre. But as I played it more, I found myself more and more going like, I'm kind of just getting bored with this more so than any other like bullet heaven game. It like lost its spark so quickly for me. At least it felt like. You know what's insane to me? Is this all of this stuff happened 3 months ago, but it feels like it happened like ages ago. Like, it doesn't feel like 3 months ago that I was still playing Space Marine, you know? Doesn't feel like 3 months ago that I played Legend of Keepers. It's weird. Anyway, yeah, I haven't been playing this one often, just because of that, I think. There's the collab. I love collabing, but I'm never gonna put myself out with these things. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I'm very much like a yes. I'll say yes if like I'm messaged about it, probably, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to do it. And here's where the Final Fantasy started. It's insane to think that started 3 months ago. It doesn't feel like it was 3 months ago. It was like, it feels like it was much, much further back. Oh look, there's me playing Kingmaker. But yeah, like, Final Fantasy's been interesting because it's just been the patch quests really until like literally like the past 2 streams, right? And I've had so much fun with the patch quests. The demonic storyline, like, really like was interesting to me. It was really like, I'd always been intrigued by the demon world and like what the whole thing was, or how we were going to deal with that, or like who were the leaders in that area. And its connection, like, oh look, it's like the exact opposite of this place that was covered in light. There's this place covered in darkness. Surely there's going to be some combo between these. And I think they explored it decently. I just felt like it could have been the expansion, you know? Could you imagine a situation where at the end of those patch quests, when all the things have been done, it then just leads into, well, there's your starting point into the demonic realm. That's what the whole expansion's going to be, is the demonic realm. It's like, yeah, sure, Golbez was strong, but he wasn't the strongest. It's just the others didn't care if he win or lost, because if he won, perfect. If he lost, well, we'll take his territory. You know, that kind of thing. I just hate that occasionally I feel like, and this has happened before, they waste incredibly good storylines on patch quests. And by waste, I don't mean like, oh, why are they putting in patch quests? Patch quests are horrendous. I mean like, give it the time of an expansion, and you could explore it in such a better way. Give them new areas. I don't know. It pisses me off occasionally because I'm like, oh, this is such a wasted opportunity. Like, there was the final Ascian that we beat, and it's the special one because he is wearing a white cloak, and you learn all about him, and he has this really cool plot, but it's a patch quest, and you're like, well, make that the expansion. Why is he not a final boss of an expansion? There's me playing more Kingmaker. Again, my problem with Kingmaker, I absolutely love the setting, love the characters. If I could, I would, in an ideal world, I'd love to play it in tabletop, because obviously we wouldn't have these problems in tabletop. I understand why the DMs I know are a bit apprehensive. For one, we've never played Pathfinder. So we don't even know if we like it, and for two, this is like one of the longest campaigns I've seen, because it's like from 1 to like high level, right? So I understand not wanting to make that sort of like concede, not committing to that, but I'd love to play Kingmaker at some point, because it very much feels like my kind of thing, like my kind of idea. Because I'm always about like, oh, I want to have like an area that we influence, and like we can see the impact of what we do. Okay, well, you're a baron of a place. You're freeing the place and then defending the place from external threats. Perfect, you know? Raven's Watch, great game. Didn't play too much of it. I think it just felt like there wasn't a lot to it. Maybe it's different on higher levels, because I only ever played on the lowest level, but it didn't feel like there was much to the game. Loads of repeat bosses, the events were exactly the same every time you went there. I think it just needed some variety. And then here is where I started going down the rabbit hole of Pathfinder. I think to me, this was like it's definitely the thing I look at now. Hell of a lot more than anything else. Because... Well, mainly because I'm not doing any D&D projects at the moment. Why did this get 47 views? Like, this is the thing I don't understand. It's like, this got 47 views. And I've got no idea why. Next one got 8. What can you do? Anyway. Really, really liked Pathfinder. Always, I say I really, really like Pathfinder. I can't really say that until I've actually played. But I really like a lot of the things they do. You know, racial feats, really, really interesting. I'm still a bit apprehensive of the fact of, like, no subclasses, but having class feats. I understand the logic behind it, but I'm still a bit apprehensive of the general scheme of things. Because they have sub-races, but they don't have subclasses. That's the thing that gets me. Don't understand it. But yeah, this was my first foray into it, learning about it. People in chat helping me, which was really, really nice, because it's always nice to have... It's always nice to have, like, people in the chat to talk to, you know? Very rarely happens, but when it does, I'm always happy for it. And I think most of this is just going to be repeats, except for... Oh, we played some Supervive. It was a really scuffed stream because I couldn't really hear Onyx at all. Like, he'd cut out a lot. But I love Supervive. I love playing it with friends. It's a pretty quick... I think the quickness of it really helps. The fact that it's really quickly like... Oh no, I lost. Who cares? Let's do that. Let's try again. Is the reason why I really got into it, because I think a lot of these kinds of games, these sort of like MOBA style or like battle royale games, I'm just like, cool, I've died, oh, I've got to wait ages, you know, and that sort of just puts me off them occasionally. I'm not a huge battle royale guy anyway, but it's kind of like a hero shootery thing, which I quite liked. Played a bit of PoE, Path of Exile 1. What can I say about that game? I still think there's many problems with Path of Exile. I think a lot of them are solved in Path of Exile 2. There's still problems with Path of Exile 2, but they're not nearly as bad as in PoE 1, where you look at your skill, like you level up, you look at where you put your skill point, you zoom out, and you see this giant spider web, and you're like, what the hell do I do? And then you go, oh yeah, but because of how many seasons there've been, there's like 2 other spider webs you have to get through as well when you get to a slightly later level. And here's all these new mechanics. Hey, do you want to do some farming? Hey, do you want to do some hunting? And you're like, oh, and your head blows up, you know? And so there's lots of problems with this, especially because of all of the seasons adding on to each other. And I like that it doesn't just go away, don't get me wrong. But it's, as a new player, the experience in PoE 1 is bad. PoE 2, slightly better. They got rid of a lot of things I don't like. A lot of things that I didn't like having like 5 different potions and having to like make sure to click the right potion and all that stuff. They just now have 2 potions, 1 healing, 1 mana. They simplified a bit the skill tree. It's still pretty complicated, but they simplified it a bit. I've been having a lot easier time getting through the game. The WASD movement plus the dodging feels a lot more like fluid. It feels very much like both it and Diablo have realized that the fluid movement is like such a great addition to these games, because it doesn't mean you're just sitting there. Your build isn't all that matters, it's also that dodging matters, which I appreciate. Which would sound weird because I'm not normally that good at dodging, but it means that there's a chance at me learning the way the attacks and be able to get through the game while you're not using an optimal build, you know? It might just take longer. Marvel Rivals, absolutely adore this game. It's what I play. It's my number one game to play on my off time, even though I'm very bad at shooting. Like, seriously, I've been playing Mantis, and she shoots like this. Right? I was very lucky if I can hit anybody that's moving like side to side. I'm just so bad at it. That's why I stick to either people who have abilities that help the group anyway, or people who have guns that either shoot really fast, so I'm eventually going to hit somebody because I'm shooting so many bullets, or have effectively a weapon that shoots like an AoE, or is auto-targeting, you know, like Scarlet Witch. But I absolutely love the game. This might open up a potential opportunity for a different kind of stream, because I really liked this creative writing stream. I really, really liked it. And it made me, it sort of lit a spark and like, oh, maybe I can do this more. Writing a backstory while on stream feels like something I could do, and it'd be quite interesting. It also means that I can't lose this backstory because it's on a stream, for one. I also then saved it into the Foundry game that we're doing, and then I also have it in my Word Online. But yeah, that's this year. We've played more games than I actually thought I did. And I'm really liking this group of the Baldur's Gate Baldur's Gate Final Fantasy. Sadly, I do think this one will be coming to an end soon. Not because I'm like stopping it, but because we'll actually finish it, you know? Like, we're physically in Act 3, so it won't last forever. We're talking, if we're having a look to the future, right? What did I do there? Having a look to the future. If I can spell. Right. What's going to happen 2020... What is it? What is it now? 2025. That kind of sounds cooler anyway. It's 25, that's a cool number. Obviously, more of the two RPGs. More FF14 plus Baldur's Gate. Obviously, they're not going anywhere until they're finished, right? And we're nowhere near finishing this one, right? In terms of, will I be adding more streams like I kind of started doing this time last year? Probably not. I think I've got the right sort of balance at the moment of like giving myself some free time, giving myself some time to chill, my work time, and then this. Because this is fun to do, don't get me wrong, but it's not 100% chill, right? Because I have to, you know, I can't just sit here watching videos. You know, it's different. It's not rest, but it is fun. I think there's a good shout that we'll get more creative writing stuff. I really liked that stream we did where I was going through and I was making my backstory for my character. I think there's potential for either doing more backup character backstories as just like a creative writer experience, or maybe doing just like making a fantasy kingdom, or like a fantasy race, or like a fantasy army or something. Just sitting down, having and like getting maybe coming in with a skeleton of an idea, and like while on stream, sort of expanding on it and making it into a fully fledged idea. I think that may be fun to do. It's just I've just got to find something I'm interested in. But yeah, that's a possibility. Other than that, there's not a huge things you could, like, not a huge changes to in the future. I think it's just more of the same, just making sure that we're reliably getting stuff out, making sure that we're still having fun with everything. Because like if I'm not having fun in a game like I did with Neverwinter, I'll go fine. Right, I'm done. You know. I'd like to do more collabs, right? But the reason why I didn't initially put this on is because this one's going to be hard to do, right? Because I'm not great at reaching out to people, one. I'm not great with new people, two. And so it's gonna be hard to do. That's all I'll say. It sort of goes into actually my my New Year's resolution. So I thought I'd talk about this. Because realistically, you know how it is with New Year's resolutions. They're like, you're very rarely to ever actually do them. But my plan for this one is to just, it's an aspirational thing that I think I'm going to, when I have the opportunity, you know, try and improve, right? That's my sort of headcanon for these things. And I technically did my last year's one, because my last year's one was to get a hobby, right? And I got a hobby. And it's not technically related to, it is related to gaming, but it's not gaming. And so that's something, you know, like I technically did one of them. But I'm an idiot. 2025. My biggest New Year's resolution is, and this isn't necessarily, it's tangentially related to streaming, but it's to actively, how do I spell actively, keeping it actively reach out to friends. Now what I mean by this is I play a lot with my friends, but it's always, it's never like, if this is me, right? Hold on a second, let me just, you know, put the glasses on. Yeah, I look cool. I can look cool, it's me drawing. But let's be realistic and put like that on and then like, yeah, that kind of looks like me. So it's always with it, when it comes to like, let's just generic, put an F on them, because they're a friend. It's always them going, like, talking to me, right? And what I mean when actively reach out is like, if I'm feeling like I want to play with a friend, just asking. You know, it's simple as that. Literally getting into the mindset of like doing that. It may sound easy, but it's definitely not for me. I'm not very socially good, right? I'm better than I used to be, but I'm still not great. And so what does this mean for streams? Maybe it means more collabs. I think it's really only Monday streams or like a new stream that's going to make actively going to be a collab, because we're not going to be collabing in like, oh, we could collab in Final Fantasy, but yeah, I think that's something I've definitely got to think about, and it's definitely something that I will try and do, but I don't really have too much of a huge hope for myself when it comes to it, if I'm being honest. In terms of like other things I think are potential aspirations for myself, I think if we're talking like numbers, I'd really like to hit 50 followers. I'd really like to hit 50 followers. You know what, let me try writing that. I'd love to do this. Whether it actually happens is a whole other thing. Because I know people would be like, oh, hold on a second, Jack, you're saying you really like to hit 50 followers? You're only on like, you got like 45, 46 already. Surely that's going to be easy. You'd be surprised. I can go months without getting a follower. And I think the biggest thing, because this is cool, but like I didn't even know this was even close to happening until someone pointed it out, right? I think what, in terms of like aspirations, the number one for me is to get one regular chatter. I think the one that I'm like, I would be insanely happy with if I got. Because one regular chatter would be somebody that actually is coming to watch me and watch me once and was not just like, nah, I'm done, you know? I think that's the biggest sort of like, what's the word, like accomplishment, award to get, is this guy actively liked what he was seeing and came back to watch again and wanted to chat with you, you know? And they weren't trying to sell you something, you know? I think this was very, very similar to like my half-year aspirations and probably my last year's aspirations as well. But in terms of like my opinion on how things have gone sort of this year, we talk about my opinions on I'm gonna keep doing that, aren't I? On 2024. I think overall we have done well. We have gone from a pretty shitty quality mic that was not coming across very well, that was that one of the cats? I think it was. A pretty shitty mic that was like that like would echo and would have lots and lots and lots and lots of technical problems. And we've improved it to the point where now I'm pretty happy with how I sound. I like how I sound with this mic. I like we've gone from having just a logo to instead having a fully functioning camera that allows us to see me, and you know, I have the confidence to actually use it on like regularly. We've gone from, we've done our first long series like all the way through a game. We've bumped it up from once a week to 3 times a week. You know, like these are huge achievements. We've tripled the amount we've streamed over this year. And I think we found that level that really I think the thing that I've learned about streaming this year is it really does well for me. I think it does well not just as like an experience of just being able to vent stuff into like the ether and get it off my chest, but I think it's worked well in terms of like helping to a certain extent when I'm off from work to at least keep my speaking ability to some variety. Because there were times, especially in my like early high school, kind of just high school times, where because of like summer holidays and stuff, and obviously I don't get those anymore, but because of like long breaks, I would actively have situations where sorry, I was looking at my cat then. Where I would I would like forget how to talk. Like I'm not great at talking now. You know, you can see myself stuttering over words already. But I would actively like stop learning, like revert back to more like primal ways of talking, like younger ways of talking, because I just wouldn't have any contact with people. And although this isn't contact with people most of the time, because it's most of the time me talking to the ether, I still think it's good. Like I still think it's how do I say? I still think this is better than like not talking with anybody, because I'm actively talking. You know, I'm narrating stuff. I'm like, you know, I'm doing voices, and you know, it's keeping me occupied, and I'm happy with it. I think 2024 there were some scuffed streams, there were some lows definitely, but overall I'm pretty happy in general with how it's gone. Never mind like out of work stuff. We're just talking about out of stream stuff. But if we're just talking about streams, I'm pretty happy with how it's gone. There's a notable improvement to the quality of the stream, especially when you compare the voices. I think the sound mixing is slightly better. I don't think it's perfect, obviously, but I'm slowly working, you know, within my price range to get to that point. And I'd love to get to that point at some point, but if I don't get to it, I don't get to it. You know, it's sad, but it's true, right? But yeah, what can you do when it comes to that stuff? And in terms of like, if we want to talk like more art stream, if we're talking about my life in general, I mean, there's a lot of good things that have happened this year. Like, me and the mum have paid off like the house, which is huge, which means we don't have to pay that anymore. Early in the year, I did get a pay increase. Like, life has been okay. Life has been good. It's not been insane, but like I said to my mum the other day, it's like when you compare it to some of the other people out there, when you hear all the horror stories of like people being forced to, even though they have a full-time job, either get a second job or like selectively choose what meals they just don't have, or like go to food banks, and you're like, it makes you realize that when you're complaining about like, oh, I really wish I had this, I really wish I had that, really wish I had the money to buy like, you know, buy like this mic, when it's not just a special occasion where it's okay to sort of splurge on something. And then you look at that kind of stuff and you're like, you're doing fine. Stop complaining. You're doing fine in comparison to a lot of people. And so, yeah, I think coming to that conclusion, and it's only been recently, and I know, like, that's insane. It's taken this long, but it really sort of has done well for my, like, psyche, I think. It's made me realize a lot about how lucky I am to have a job, to have stable income coming in, to have a house to live in, you know? But, you know, I think I'm generally done with this. Do you want to just get a quick game of Disfigure in? Yeah, let's get a quick game of Disfigure in. But while that loads up... Recognized it, thank you. Yeah, so I've been using this, the pulse rifle. It's insane. We're gonna try it on the newer map. On hard. Let's see how... When I'm put into the firing line, let's see how I do. Oh. That was weird. Hold on a second. I wonder why it was barely running then. This is what's cool about this gun is effectively if you get them below half with your shot, from what I can gather, it does an explosion, right? And so what I've been doing recently is you can't shrapnel it. It's one of the guns that doesn't have shrapnel. But what it does allow is ricochet. And so what I do is I just gain ricochet. And ricochet just means that I'm able to, like, kill a load of them with each of my shots. And they each explode. And then you get the... There's this one where, like, if you charge your shot for a certain amount of time... it does an extra damage. Like, yeah, she can't take shrapnel. It doesn't shrapnel. It doesn't shrapnel, game. I'll take this. This is actually quite useful late game. But yeah, I love this game as just being so chill. And then if you take, like, not charge shot, but this wind-up strike, it's really fun because you have this, and it just does loads more damage. Later on, I don't think it's an early thing. You need ricochet, because you don't want to be charging all your shots to kill one enemy. Pierce also works. I'll take Pierce. But yeah, I'm generally pretty happy with what we've done this year. I forgot how much we had actually done. But we've actually gotten a lot done in this. There it is, ricochet. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. I mean, I think the only regret, and it shows in my New Year's resolution, is that my only regret was the fact that my only regret was that I didn't do more collabs. But it can be a bit hard, because it's like, you're talking with your friend, but it's like, oh, also you've got to deal with the fact that you're also streaming, and I know that for some people that's like, it's hard to do, and like, also obviously I completely understand that some friends just don't want to be on stream, because it is a bit daunting. Needless to say, there's definitely occasional times where I'm like, I don't want to be on stream. But having it as a schedule, having it being there as like, no, you have to do this, definitely helps in that aspect. I love that unintentionally with the placement of my camera. Even if I don't turn off Steam notifications, you'll never see them because they're always hidden under... Well, a lot of the time they are hidden under my face. My beautiful, beautiful face. But you can see what I mean about like how powerful this is. You have to be careful later on because you can screw over your own build by taking upgrades that just actually make it worse. But I think we're fine at the moment. So I was wondering, what's happening with this, like, these Marvel what-ifs? Because I haven't watched this season, because I just didn't really like the second season. But from what I can see, are they going for, like, all-girl, like, supergroup that's dealing with, like, a cosmic threat? And the cosmic threat is, like, other Watchers that don't want the Watcher that we know to be interfering as much as he has? If so, sounds interesting. I just don't really... All I've been seeing is, like, little clips, and it's like... A duck and a lady had a baby? And, like, she's now a character that... I think is a new character? I'm looking at it, I just go, I thought this was supposed to just be a load of, like... I vastly preferred it when it was just a load of what-ifs that didn't, really, like, hugely relate to each other. Because they were just cool little short stories, and I think I preferred that. Like, the one where they're all in mechs, and they're fighting, like, effectively Godzilla Hulk, I thought was an insanely funny concept. Like, that made me go, okay, this is funny. That makes me want to watch it. I also kind of hope, I don't know if she's in it, I kind of hope Captain Carter isn't in it. It's not, I just don't, I think I've gotten sick of her character. There was a, especially in, Blimmin' Season 2, I think she's just shown so much that she's just like... I think I just realized very quickly that I was just like, this isn't my, like I like her. I liked her once, but seeing her constantly is just sort of... I don't know. It's not nearly as interesting. Like, show me other people. It's what if. You know, it's like, it can be anyone. You can show me, like... What if, like, the X-Men... Like, what if Charles Xavier sided with Magneto? Instead of separating, and they worked together? Whether you take that in the way of, like, they both believed in the good and both made the school, or whether I take this one. Or whether you go the route of like, no, Charles Xavier thinks that like mutants should rule and stuff. Like, I think that'd be a really cool concept. As like a what if. Like, that's what I was hoping the show to generally be. And I don't mind where it's gone, because it's a cool story in the Marvel Universe. I just wish it was actually what it said it was, as a what if, instead of just being kind of its own self-contained story now. About a Watcher. Projectiles will pierce through infinite enemies, dealing 100% more damage for each enemy pierced. Sounds good. Does Pierce work with Ricochet? Kind of feels like it does. I think it's working. I like it when you're fighting with this build. When you're fighting a boss, you don't shoot the boss. Because you're not going to get the insta-kill on the boss. So you shoot everything around the boss. Which I think is quite funny. More bullet damage, more bullet speed, damage increase than Ricochet, sure. God, I tried out, me and Onyx off stream tried blimmin' Black Desert. I do not recommend Black Desert. Look, I don't have the best PC, so I was like, okay, I'll play it on medium, right? Because I don't want my, I want to be able to run it well, right? I'd rather have lower quality but runs well over higher quality but like runs horrendously. But goddamn, did that game have a problem with like rendering stuff? It would like, I'd be walking forward and I'd be like, oh, it's rendering the grass. I can see it rendering the grass. And then there was all these different tabs and like it didn't feel like it was a good experience at all. Now, I'm sure the people who have played Black Desert would be like, nah, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. But it didn't seem good. It was not we were just gonna play it casually. And then we were like, nah, let's not. Let's just talk instead. Luckily, we didn't have to pay anything. I'll give it credit. It's not like I've paid a load of money for a game and then it being like that. And it must have decent people in it because it's always like in the top rated or top like best selling quote unquote. Now I know it's free, so obviously it's always going to be higher than the ones where you actively have to pay money to buy the game. I am losing fire rate a lot, but if I kill everything in one shot, I just get my recharge back. I need more things that bring me my XP to me. What I'm saying is I need to be more I want to be more lazy, and it's not allowing me to be more lazy yet. God, I am cutting these close occasionally. Singularity, when fully charged, deals an additional 50% more damage. Right, I need to kill everything in one shot, so that makes sense. Although I feel like if I miss a shot, do I just lose? I think if I miss a shot on the glowing target, I think I'd take a damage minimum. I need to get that thing where if you kill the enemy that shoots the projectile disappears. That other one where if you shoot the projectile, it flies back at the enemy. Either or, really. Tell you what, let me just quickly so that I can. My Streamlabs is got a bit of scuff on it. Fire rate is probably good. This significantly boosts my damage though. Yeah, I'm going all in on just permanently charging from killing an enemy. I think that's the biggest thing, is like, who cares about fire rate if you kill everything in one shot, and every time you kill something in one shot, you reset your ability. I remember there was a point last year where I started having it where my mic, what would be like recorded in the mic would also be played into my ear, and I know that's, I think a lot of streamers actually do that as on a regular, but I think it was making me slowly go insane, if I'm being completely honest. Strike magnetism. Every other enemy killed by a fully charged wind-up strike will float XP towards you. Cool, sure. Yeah, that's better now. But yeah, I think it was making me slowly go insane, because not only was I hearing my voice, and I wasn't particularly fond of my voice at that point, but also I'd hear like incredibly tiny little things that were getting caught on the camera that realistically were probably being like drowned out by the music, or like people wouldn't even like for a second even think about. But I was just like, oh god, no, everybody's hearing that, everybody's probably commenting about it. I like this. I don't like that. I kind of want to take this pulse anomaly. Yeah, let's take pulse anomaly. I normally take the one that does the big charge, but I actually think it's an active, like, negative. Whereas this one is at least it's there. I don't think it'll get much use, but it's better than nothing. Oh, it freezes them actually. It's not too bad. It can be like a, oh no, I'm screwed kind of thing. And it does recharge relatively fast actually. I thought it said 5 seconds, but I guess maybe 5 seconds is longer than I mean shorter than I actually thought. Do 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 do. Right. I don't know what else we need for it. This is the deflection thing I was talking about before. I'm not sure how actual useful that is. Move slower? I mean, that might be useful. Just to make sure that, like, anything I don't kill is at least slow. And realistically, the straight damage boost things that we have, we've already, like, the straight damage boost things you can get, we kind of already have. Yeah, I think maybe this gun is overpowered. Because I don't think I've suddenly gotten incredibly powerful. Although maybe it's not that it could not be the gun, and it could instead be it could be wind up. I mean, I very rarely used wind up when it was originally out, because I didn't see the appeal of it. But did I have a single target very powerful? A single target very powerful blimmin', what's the word I'm trying to think of? Gun, just in general? Maybe it's just good. Gotta wait for the glow. Ignore the big dude behind us, he's fine. I think one of the things that really attracted me to this game, in addition to it just being this free bullet heaven that is just really fun, is just the art style. Like, it's very, very unique. Like, it's quite simplistic in what it is, but it's very unique. It feels very, like, hand-drawn vibes, but also keeps this very creepy look to it, because they're, like, you can see the outline, but they're also sort of, like, shadowed as well. So you can sort of, in your mind, come up with, like, what these things are, while simultaneously not being hugely scary. You know? Like, I've seen, like, eldritch horror stuff that has properly, like, made me squirm in my seat looking at it and been like, I don't want to look at this anymore. 25% chance for every shot to be a charge shot, dealing double damage. What does this go into? Every time a bullet damages an enemy, it has a chance to become a charge shot. Killing an enemy with a charge shot creates an explosion. 10% chance the shot to be fired to do double damage. 25. Every time you shoot, fire an extra bullet, there's a 100% chance to be charged. Killing an enemy with a charge temporarily increases fire rate. Damaging enemies with a charge will spawn a vision circle. I don't think I want to go down the charged route. I'll pick this up, because deflection might matter. It might just clean up my ability to move around a bit more. I'm not actively ever going to be shooting the projectiles, but maybe like the ricochet might get occasional ones, you know? Maybe. Oh, it is actually quite a useful tool now, the more I'm seeing it. When enemies hit with a fully charged wind-up sight will instantly be killed if their health is below 70%. Sure. This just means I'm more likely to kill everything. I mean, I am killing everything with one shot, but we want to make sure that we keep that up. Because it's not like one of those things that we can look at and go, oh, that's not happening anymore, may as well take damage things. Because if we don't kill stuff in one shot, we effectively lose this build. Like literally, we lose the build. Because then my shots take so much longer to charge. Which means I just get overwhelmed. It's just what'll happen. Multi-shot, I don't need lower damage. Setting an enemy on fire with a 7%, I don't care about that. Every 5th enemy killed will explode into wildfire. Now that's good, because we kill enemies and it gives me a bullet damage increase. You can see why I love this game, can't you? It's just like, it's such a chill experience, while also, I don't know, like, at the very least bringing me happiness generally when you're doing it. And it's free. And I am well known for being a bit of a cheapskate when it comes to this stuff. So it being free, it was just like the icing on the cake. Fire rate is temporarily increased for each enemy damaged by wildfire. I feel like I'm just taking that for the wildfire damage, realistically, in this situation. Alternatively, I could take this, which goes down this. When you kill an enemy, it'll destroy. When an enemy projectiles are destroyed, they split into 2 player projectiles. Which is useful. I'm going to go down that. Ooh, achievement. Reach a score of 2 million. Oh no, my damage just went down. Because I took a hit. Oh well. It doesn't seem to be a huge problem. That was a bit of a problem. Right there. I accidentally hit somebody that wasn't condemned. And it almost screwed me. Funny enough, it wasn't the reason I took damage though. That happened just before that, weirdly. I mean, the only restriction now is literally my speed of aiming and shooting at an enemy. Which I find quite funny. Singularity. I mean, this is okay. Because we do kill enemies. And so just having another projectile that slowly moves out, and I'm not losing anything from having it, is not bad. It's not really an improvement to the build, but it's just an extra thing you have on the build, you know? Almost getting to the 20-minute mark. I think this is new territory for me. Probably based on the, I've never seen that enemy before. The weird, like, virus-looking boy. I do like that. I like the fact that for a lot of these characters, a lot of these enemies, it kind of feels like what they did was, hey, how do I make something that looks creepy? Why not just take microscopic organisms and make them large enough that we can see them? Done. Because a lot of them do look like bacteria or viruses and stuff. And you're like, how the hell are they moving? You gotta assume that they're floating or something, right? God, those things shoot a lot of bullets. Makes me glad I've gone into projectile deflection and destruction, actually. God, you do see how my fire rate is whenever that happens. I feel like if I didn't have the ability of, like, getting all of my... What the hell is that sound? Was that the enemy appearing? Oh god, it's got... Ugh. Why does this one have so much voice lines? Oh. Please kill it quicker. I don't like it, it's scaring me. It's just somebody making a sniffing sound, but it scares me so much. What's this do? Killing an enemy will destroy all the Sure. Gives me more bullet damage, actually, which is pretty cool. Okay, so this definitely is in-game, because now that we paused it, and the fight wasn't happening, that sound was still going. Please fall the hell die. At least... Oh, it has sound effects like I'm actually killing it. Oh. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Stop shooting me and just die. Oh, we got another one. Oh, we did it. We actually did it. I knew this thing was overpowered. Boom. Well, I mean, that's perfect because it's hit the 2-hour mark. So I will see you guys on Wednesday for some Baldur's Gate. I will see you on Friday for some... Yeah, it's probably going to be Baldur's Gate while I have a hangover. I'll see you on Friday for some Final Fantasy XIV. I'm going to go spend the rest of my very finite days of my holiday relaxing. Hope you also are relaxing. I'll see you then. Bye!